Today on Sugar Spun Run, I'll be showing you how to make lemon poppy seed muffins. Hey Sugar Spun Bakers, Sam here, and today I am sharing a super soft, super fluffy, super moist recipe for a lemon poppy seed muffins. These have big bakery style tops. I think you are absolutely going to love them, so let's go ahead and get started. Now the first thing you want to do is preheat your oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. Next, you are going to need a large bowl for your dry ingredients, and we are going to start with 1 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour. We'll add 3/4 cup of granulated sugar in with our flour. We're also going to be adding 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Cornstarch is one of my favorite secret ingredients in so many of my recipes. Here in these muffins, it helps to make the muffins nice, fluffy, and soft. We'll also be adding 2 teaspoons of baking powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1 tablespoon of poppy seeds. Now whisk these ingredients together until they are completely combined. All right, now we'll set our dry ingredients aside because they're nicely whisked together, and we are going to need a separate medium-sized bowl for our wet ingredients. Now, the first thing you're going to need is 3/4 cup of sour cream. I do use full-fat sour cream for this recipe. This is such a key ingredient in these muffins. Makes them super moist, super delicious, super flavorful. And I bet you guys are just super tired of hearing me use the word super, so I'll try to stop that now. Next, we'll be needing 1/2 cup or 1 stick of unsalted butter, and you want to go ahead and melt this. Butter is my preferred fat here rather than oil, just because it makes the muffins a little bit more flavorful. We do have that lemon flavor coming in, but the butter really adds something to it that I found the oil did not. Now, you don't want your butter to be too hot when you add it with your sour cream. It should be returning to room temperature. It shouldn't feel too hot to the touch. And it is true that sometimes just using butter can dry out a muffin, but in this recipe, thanks to the sour cream and some of the other ingredients that we're using, I have not found that to be the case, and I did a lot of testing. Now we're going to be adding 1 large egg, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, and use fresh squeezed if you can. You're also going to need 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon zest. Now I recommend washing the lemon before you start zesting it, and when you zest it, you want to make sure that you avoid the pith. I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. Now as you zest through your lemon, you're going to be working through this bright yellow and through that duller yellow color that's on the lemon. Now if you go too deep, you will get down to this layer called the pith. This is that brighter white color. Now it's okay if you see that pith, but if you start zesting that and you add that to your lemons, the pith is really bitter and it's going to make your lemon muffins taste really bitter too. So you want to make sure that as you're zesting, you stop once you hit the pith. If you zest through that and you zest all the way down to the actual lemon, your muffins are going to be bitter. They're not going to taste very good. Now, as I said, you need 2 tablespoons of lemon zest for this recipe, and I found I typically do need to use 2 lemons to get that much zest. We're also going to be adding a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And if you have it, I recommend that you use a 1/2 teaspoon of lemon extract as well. Also, never measure your extract over the bowl like I just did, because if you accidentally overpour even a little bit, you can ruin your whole recipe. All right, now we're going to stir our wet ingredients together until everything's nicely combined. The reason I like to use lemon extract is because even though we have that nice fresh flavor from the lemon zest and the lemon juice, the extract just adds a little bit to it, makes it a little bit brighter, a little bit more lemony than it would be otherwise. I'm actually going to switch from using a spatula to using a whisk to get these ingredients nicely combined. Now let's bring back our bowl with our dry ingredients and add our wet ingredients to that. We're going to use our spatula to gently fold together the wet and dry ingredients. You do want to make sure you're doing this gently with a gentle hand, that way you don't overdo it, because if you ever overmix muffin batter, most likely the muffins are going to end up dense and dry and just not very good. So always be careful when mixing muffin batter. And this does make a pretty thick muffin batter, as you'll see in just a second, so don't panic if yours seems particularly thick. So we're ready to bake our muffins at this point. So you're going to want to line a 12-count muffin tin with paper liners, or you can use my parchment paper liners. If you remember, I recently shared a video on how to make those. Today I'm just using paper liners. And now this recipe can make 12 muffins. If you evenly divide the batter, you will have 12 nice sized muffins, and that's great. But one thing I like to do, because I love those big fluffy muffin tops, is I'm only going to fill 10 of the muffin liners with batter, but I'm going to fill every one of them just about all the way to the top. Now I'm using an ice cream scoop to portion the batter just because for me personally it's the easiest way to do it. All right, now we'll take these muffins over to our 425 Fahrenheit preheated oven, and you do want to make sure that it's completely preheated. Sometimes it can take my oven a while to get to this temperature, so don't put your muffins in the oven until they're at 425. Once your oven's at 425, we are going to bake these for 8 minutes on 425 degrees. Then, without opening the oven door, we're going to drop the heat to 350 degrees Fahrenheit and continue to bake the muffins for another 7 to 8 minutes, or until a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean or with a few moist crumbs. Now, baking the muffins on these two different temperatures like this is a technique I've used in a lot of my recipes before. What it does is it allows the muffins to rise quickly. It makes them nice and tall and fluffy without over baking them. It's just one of my favorite techniques to use, so we're doing that here today. You'll want to let your muffins cool for 10 or 15 minutes before adding glaze if you are using one. Now, I really recommend this lemon glaze because it adds a nice, bright, extra lemon flavor to the muffins. So to make this, you're just going to need 1 1/4 cups of powdered sugar. We'll add 1 1/2 tablespoons of lemon juice. And we're also going to add 1 1/2 teaspoons of water. We might need a little bit more. We'll see how the consistency looks in just a second. So I'm just going to stir everything together using either a whisk or a spoon. And you just want a nice consistency that's not too thick, that's not too thin. If it's too stiff, you can add just another splash of water. But this consistency actually looks pretty much perfect. So once your muffins have had a little bit of time to cool, we can go ahead and drizzle our glaze over top. And I did put a piece of wax paper underneath this cooling rack just to catch any drizzle that dripped off of the muffins, just to make cleanup a little bit easier. And that's for Zach, not for me, because he's gonna be the one cleaning this mess up. So, I'm being a really good wife here. Now, ideally, you would give these muffins another 15 minutes or so for the glaze to harden. That way you don't have a sticky mess on your hands when you go to eat one. But, I don't know about you, but I don't have that kind of patience. So I'm just gonna go ahead and dig in now. Who cares if your fingers get a little bit messy, right? It's totally worth it. All right, well, that's how you make my favorite lemon poppy seed muffins. Super moist, super fluffy, so good. Sorry, I'm saying super again, but I really hope you guys try this one out. If you do, please leave me a comment and let me know what you think. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. You see the inside of that?